My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of I Am Number 4. And this is a movie that I absolutely loved when it first came out. I remember seeing it in the cinemas, and I was just blown away by it. I absolutely loved it, and I became completely obsessed with it. I even went out and bought the book. For those who know me, I don't do that. I don't read books. But I loved this movie so much, I was just like, I want more. And even the scene in this movie with Rolling in the Deep by Adele was my introduction to Adele. So this movie did have a big part when it first came out in my life. I watched it last night, and I'm gonna be honest, I was expecting to still really enjoy it, just having a fun time with it, but it is a really bad movie that doesn't hold up at all. I still have nostalgia for it in certain moments, and I do like some of the cliche elements of this mysterious guy moving to this new town, going to school where he befriends a nerd and falls in love with a girl and gets bullied by the jocks. I love those cliche elements, but that's where my positives end for this movie. Alex Pfeiffer, I haven't seen him much else. I know he was the lead in Alex Rider Operation Stormbreaker, another movie that I loved as a kid and read the book for. I guess it's just weird that happened 2 times with this specific actor. But I guarantee you that movie doesn't hold up at all. He was really great in Magic Mike, and he's terrible here. He has not an ounce of charisma or personality. He's just very bland here and trying so hard to be the dark, mysterious, moody guy, and he just has zero character here. And I also wasn't too big on his character, like his performance aside, he's just not written well, and I thought it was very strange that he discovers his powers and freaks out, and then learns how to master them in one afternoon. Like it took him like 2 minutes to do that. Just didn't really work for me, and I do think he was overly dramatic in the way he acted in this movie. And I also thought his last lines in the movie just didn't work for me. Then you've got Diana Agron, who I don't believe I've seen in anything else. And I don't want to sound too mean, but it's not hard to see why. She's not good in this movie. I thought she was very bland and just bad at acting here. And the romance between the two of them doesn't work for me in any way, besides the idea of the mysterious new guy falling in love with the cute photographer. Just, they have zero chemistry with each other, and John's such a dick to her. Like, she'll text him, and he always looks at the text and then just ignores it, and then she'll approach him later and be like, why didn't you answer my text? And then he'll say some dramatic thing, and it's just, it got so overdone to the point of self-parody. And he, even at the end of this movie, he has no reason to get her involved with this fight at all, but he goes out of his way to make sure that she's there for the final battle. And it's just like, you know what, just very questionable on his behalf. Then you also got Timothy Olyphant, who I haven't actually seen in all too much. I'm sure there's a few things that I'd be like, oh yeah, he's in that one. Like I know he's the bad guy in Live Free or Die Hard, and I've seen him in a few other things, but I haven't seen Justified yet, so I'll add that one to my list. I'll try to watch that one within the next couple of years because I know people love that show and they love him as an actor. He's bad in this movie though. It's a very one-note performance, and the way he's written, he just never feels like a proper father figure to John. He never feels like a mentor at any point. Like, it would have been nice if when John discovered his powers, we get a montage of him helping him out, or we see him being kind to him, and you just don't get that. Anytime he's on screen, he's being a dick for some reason, so that character didn't work for me. Then you've also got Teresa Palmer, who is a great actress. She should be in way more stuff. Like, there was this movie she was in called Borderline Syndrome, and it's not that good of a movie, but she's really good in it, and I thought she was great in Lights Out and Hacksaw Ridge, and I'm surprised she doesn't act more, because I do think she's talented. That said, she's not good in this movie. It's not entirely her fault because she's given so little to work with. We see her character once at the start of the movie, and then we don't see her at all until the very end. So because of that, her character feels so irrelevant, and she just ends up feeling like a Deus Ex Machina. Like when the tension is high, she comes in and saves the day. And the ability she has to like teleport, I thought were really rad, and I would have loved to see more of that, but she's just in it for such a short time, and her performance, it just feels like she's trying too hard to be the badass, I give zero shits kind of chick, and it just comes across really forced. Then you've also got Kaylin McAlfee, who I didn't think was good in this movie. I just don't buy the friendship that forms between him and John. Just the way it's written, it doesn't work, and his performance doesn't elevate it by any means. Then you've also got Jake Abel, who, if I remember correctly, around the time this movie came out, I think he played like the asshole bully in a few other movies. I think he was the bad guy in Percy Jackson, and he was really bad in that movie. But he's actually kind of decent here. Not to say he's given a ton to work with, but just playing that asshole bully, I think he does a fine enough job at that. But the way they treat his character in the last 5 minutes is really questionable. Like, we see him be awful the entire movie, and then in the last 5 minutes, suddenly he's best friends with John. Like, what happened? So, yeah, that doesn't work for me. And then you've got Kevin Durand, who I thought was awful in this movie and gave the worst performance. These villains are just some of the worst villains I've seen in a movie. You know, like, just the way they look so stupid. Like, I just can't take them seriously. They look like a goofier version of Eric Bana's character in the 2009 Star Trek movie. But just everything about this performance and the way he talks, he's just like, hey, how's it going? You don't go be the hero. It just drove me nuts. I thought he was so bloody annoying in this movie, and these villains I just couldn't take seriously. And then you've also got this script, which is just a complete disaster. You know, you've got the high school element, you've got the mentor element, you've got the other aliens element, and then you've also got the conspiracy theory plot that kind of comes out of nowhere in the last act of the movie, which just, I don't know where that came from. It wasn't built up to at all. Like, the high school stuff worked for me, but none of the other stuff did. It was a very poorly written story that just wasn't able to combine those elements in a really effective manner. And I did find the CGI to be pretty bad in this movie. Just saying, like, having lights come out of your hands, like, it's kind of a lame power. Like, he's able to do other things more, but I would have liked him to set the rules a bit more for what he's able to do. But the CGI isn't great in the movie, especially in the last act, and the action is just did nothing for me. And then the movie's wrapping up, and I got the feeling they were setting up a sequel. I'm really glad that didn't happen, because this came out between Twilight and Hunger Games, and it's quite clear they were setting up a love triangle, or maybe even a love scroll at the end of this movie, and then he has this speech about how they gotta find the other numbers, and it just comes across very cringy. And it also makes this movie feel incomplete, because then what did they accomplish? Like, is there just going to be no threats from this point forward? Like, from the beginning to the end of the movie, they just defeated a small selection of aliens, and that's really it. Like, it's not as bad as sequel setup as the last Divergent movie, and the sequel that never happened to that one, which is still hilarious to this day. Like, I'll never get over that. It's not that bad, but the sequel setup element of it really wasn't that good. But, yeah, this is a disappointment. I have lots of nostalgia for this movie. I was hoping that I'd still love it, and no, it's a really bad movie. I do like some of the high school elements and some of the cliches that come with that setting, but everything else about this movie falls flat. The characters are terribly written, the performances are incredibly bland and lack any bit of life or personality, the story is just a complete disaster, and it's just a movie that is indeed very bad. So I'm going to go ahead and give I Am Number 4 a 3 out of 10. Giving it a 3 out of 10 feels a little nice, but a part of me kind of wishes I gave it a 4 out of 10 just so I could say, I'm giving I Am Number 4 out of 10. That would have just been perfect, but that would be dishonest, and I don't do that. But have you seen I Am Number 4? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.